Welcome to NextToRise MMA, where we showcase fighters before the fame. Today I'm with amateur featherweight Preston Frost, 2-3 record. How you doing today?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you for asking. So I'm gonna start off with how'd you start in MMA?
I did sports like, soccer, baseball, the average sports. Um, and then kind of got into college and that dropped off. And I wasn't really sure what to do on the competitive side. And I just needed something to just give me an edge. So I kind of got into that, just seeing Conor McGregor, his documentary, and then just kind of went from there and experimented. And here we are now.
Nice, nice. No wrestling?
No
No.
wrestling background, no combat sports background, just kind of just went into it.
Nice, nice. So you have a master's degree in architecture from Fairmont State University. You don't hear that
Yes,
every
sir.
day. So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, how'd you balance that? Did you train while you were going to college?
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of rough. Kind of going back and forth, doing all nighters sometimes for projects for architecture and then kind of trying to train. It was always a mess, but just getting through that, we got through it. It was just trying to get through those last couple years was the worst. Just the beginning of my career, trying to learn so much and then also on doing so much on the architecture side. But hey, it worked out in my favor. I'm grateful for, everybody that helped me get through that.
That's awesome. Do you feel like your background helps you at all mentally?
A little bit with problem solving, with just I guess problem solving can go into fighting as well. Whenever
Right.
you're into a problem, just think of something quick, and then whatever comes in mind first, kind of just get on that. Go forward with whatever you think is right, and you know, I think it's helped me in fights and just training. Getting through mental stumps of just getting that mental block and not wanting to train, and they kind of just going back to the drawing board and see where we get. But yeah, I think so.
All right. So you're 2-3 as an amateur. What have you learned the most from your 5 fights?
Um, I would say, you know, it's just a learning experience. None of this is going to matter when we go pro anyway. So I think it's just best to take everything into consideration that, whatever mistakes we make now, learn from them. Don't take a win as a win, take a loss, move forward, learn what you learned from those, and just take a grain of salt from each fight. Don't go too hard on yourself when you lose one. You just get back in there. It's not that big of a deal compared to pro. Pro, it just stays with you. But yeah, definitely. I would just look at it as a learning experience.
So with those 5 fights, you're battle tested. Who was your toughest opponent and why? Could be a win or a loss.
Um, I would say Dakota, considering
Yeah.
that he was just on here. Yeah, it was back and forth. It was great. He tested me. I was clipping him early in the first round, and then he came back. Capitalized on a mistake I made. So good on him for that. But I would say him because he kind of gave me the first that first taste of blood. He cut me, and in the first fight I kind of got dominated. It really didn't feel what it felt like to be in a fight. But that second fight with Dakota, that kind of gave me a feeling of what it feels like to go back and forth, and then losing that, and then be able to come back from 0-2, and then where I'm at now, 2-3.
Yeah, that's it. That's yeah. So your last one was a split decision. What's the mental process when the judges are reading that card?
I thought I had it 30-27. I mean, it was a good fight, but I thought I got all 3 rounds, so it was kind of confusing to hear the split decision. But at that point, I was just hoping, that they got it right because I was going to be shocked if they didn't get that. Um, but in my heart, even if I did lose that split decision somehow, I knew in my heart that I had that regardless.
Right. Yep. No matter what the judges said, I
Yeah,
feel that. So where are you training at right now, and what's the atmosphere like?
I trained at Devotion MMA. It's a great place. I originally started at All American MMA Academy with Nick Will Brown.
Okay.
Um, yeah, he's where I started. So I'm grateful for him and just getting me into this sport. And then kind of moving now to Dan Smith. He kind of runs things down at Devotion MMA. It's a great atmosphere, a lot of good training partners. I'm grateful for the guys that come down and, give me help and get through all these gritty camps. Um, it's a crazy sport. You meet a lot of crazy people that are just great and feel like family. So I'm grateful for them guys.
Who are some of your main sparring partners down there?
I would say Noah Gaudiello, Brandon Swaney, Dylan Ross. A couple of other people that come to mind. Dan Walters sometimes comes in there. There's probably some people I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but there's
That's
just a lot
fair.
of great people, just on the spot. Um, they work hard. They give me hard work. I'm just grateful for them and give me all the love and support they give me.
That's awesome. What part of your game have you been working on more recently for leading up to this
Um,
training camp?
I would say just wrestling, getting up. I know I have the striking. I know it's there. So it's just going to be, testing the wrestling. I've always, it's that's been in the lower part of my game. I'd say, something to work on. It's always hard wrestling whenever you're not a wrestler. Um, but just getting up off the bottom, I'm just going to be prepared for whatever this guy has, and you know, grateful for the experience, and I'm ready for the challenge. So it'll be fun.
So, would you say wrestling has been the hardest discipline for you to learn, transitioning into MMA?
I would say so. There's a lot of mixed things. Striking, it's point A to point B. You're striking just fist to head and fist to body. But wrestling is a lot of mixed things in there with reverses, counters, throws. You have a lot of different things in there.
Yeah.
It's coming along. I would say we've come a long way from the beginning to now. So yeah, we're definitely getting up in the game, and I think we've come a long way from where we've been, and I think it will show in this fight.
Nice. Yeah, and MMA wrestling's a lot different than
Yeah.
folk style wrestling. You
Yep.
got to worry about everything.
Yep.
So you're fighting Jacob Straley, who's 1 and
Yes,
0,
sir.
quick submission. What are your thoughts on that matchup? And how does preparing for a fast finisher change your game plan at all?
Oh, no, not at all. I think it's a great matchup. I think, he's going to be a good matchup. He's going to come out strong, um, quick finisher, but I'll be prepared for whatever, whether we go to a 3-round war or we get, a first round stoppage. Um, he might want to wrestle. I'm not sure if, he just thought he had the edge of wrestling in the his first fight, but I'll be prepared whether it's going to the ground or we're standing up. Um, I'm not sure, but whatever he wants to do, we'll get to it. It don't matter if we're standing in the center or, we're having grappling exchanges. I'm ready to see whatever he brings, and props to him and thankful for taking this fight. I'm ready for the
Right.
challenge. Yeah,
So what do you usually walk around at?
I usually walk around pretty light. Um, I'm not really cutting too much weight for amateur. It's especially the same day weigh-ins. I'm walking around like 154.
Oh yeah.
It's not too much. We're cutting off. I think after this fight, though, I will be going down to 135.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you answered so weight cut's not that tough, 9 pounds. It's not that.
No, not bad.
How do you handle fight week physically and mentally?
Um, it's not too bad. It gets kind of rough at times, especially at nighttime when you get home from training and you want some food. But I'd say, Christ gets me through it all. Just God being there and just being there for me, I think helps me the most because it gets rough, and especially teammates, just them being there for me through training, especially that long last week. It just feels like forever. Just getting that water off, and it just when you're sweating and you have no energy, it's miserable, but we get through it. So
That's fair. How would you describe your fighting style for people who haven't seen you fight yet?
I'd say fast, explosive, fun to watch. I'm always trying to put on a performance. Obviously I said like it's a learning experience, but I want to go out there and have a fun time, and you know, I want to have a fun fight. I want to make people entertained. Um, I want to get the finish. The goal is obviously the finish. Last one was decision, but we're always looking for the finish regardless of the first round, third round. So that's what I would say. I like boxing the most. Boxing's fun, but I'm down for whatever. We're well rounded over here.
I hear that. If the fight goes exactly how you want it to, how do you think it ends?
I would say I'd say second round stoppage. I think just all things said. Fill him out in the first round, let him do his thing, do whatever. In the second round, we go out and get the finish. I mean, like I said, we're down for whatever. We're down for war. If it comes down to it, I'm ready to just be one step ahead. Everything in the fight, I'm just be ready one step ahead. Whatever he brings, I'm gonna go one step above. So it's gonna be a fun fight, and respect to him, and no disrespect at all to him. But he's coming here to ruin my night. I'm going out there to ruin his. So
Yeah, I hear that. So, fun question. What's your go-to post-fight meal celebration?
Oh, it's always hot wings and French fries. It's always those two. If I can, if it's worse, it's sheets. You know, we got to get the sheets. We'll go there. You know, we'll get some sort of chicken and hot sauce. That's the main go-to with some sort of Monster or Mountain Dew. You know, that's always the go-to after the fight's over.
uh, so, before we close it, is there anyone you want to shout out? Family, coaches, teammates, anybody?
First and foremost, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's the first and foremost there. Some sponsors I've been with is GCE Contracting, Proven Auto Sales, and Yawk River Brewing. Those are the sponsors themselves. But other than that, I would just say my family, my friends, my girlfriend is just really supportive throughout this whole entire experience. It's not like a team sport where you support the whole team. This kind of is more individual, so it kind of feels like I'm representing a group of people. Um, just grateful for all of them and all my training partners. I can't give them enough praise. Just showing up every day at the gym, just give me the love that I don't think I deserve sometimes, but just being there to help me fight, help me train, get better every each and every day. So yeah, grateful for all of them guys.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, man.
Oh, I
April,
appreciate you.
thank you. April 18th, Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I'll be there. Maybe we can get a post-fight interview.
Oh, sick. I'm down for it.
All right, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, appreciate you, sir.